To get started, you want to arrange your threads in colour order on the board. So it's 2 sections with the colours going alternately all the way down, and then in the centre you end up with 2 threads of the same colour. I've started this as a normal chevron, so to begin the pattern you want to start with row 1. So for row 1 you can put one section out of the way to begin with, and then you want to get your 2 threads at the outside, and then you want to knot towards the centre until you get to your last thread. So each time you want to do both knots from left to right. So when you get to your last thread, you want to reverse positions and use the thread that's in the centre, and you want to knot away from the centre this time. So you're going to take this thread and both knots go over the other thread. So you're keeping your colours in the same colour order, as in going alternately, and then you want to do the same thing at the other side. So each time you want to do your knots towards the centre until you get to your last thread. So when you get to your last thread, you want to take that one and work away from the centre both times. And then taking the 2 colours in the centre, just knot these 2 together. So for your second row, you want to start off the same way as you did with your first row. So you can take the outside thread and knot towards the centre. And then when you get to your last thread, you want to change positions again and knot your last thread over the thread that you were just working with, and you want to knot away from the centre. And then you want to do the same thing at the other side. So once you've got to your last thread, again, just switch the threads over and knot away from the centre. And then with your 2 threads now in the centre, you can just knot these 2 together. So now for your third row, you want to begin again as you did on your last row and knot towards the centre over your first thread. And the same over your next thread. And then when you get to your third thread, you're going to switch and you're going to use your third one to knot away from the centre. And you're going to drop that one and then knot towards the centre over your next thread. And then when you get to the centre thread, again you're going to switch position and you're going to knot away from the centre with that one. And then you want to repeat this at the other side. So to begin, you're knotting towards the centre. And the same for your next thread. And then you're going to switch your threads and then knot away from the centre. And then knot towards the centre. And then switch and knot away from the centre. And then for your last two threads in the centre, you can just knot those two together. So for your fourth row, you want to start again from the outside. And you want to knot towards the centre. And then knot towards the centre second time. And then for the third thread, you're going to switch and knot away from the centre. And then you want to knot towards the centre for the rest of your row. And then you want to do the same thing at the other side. So when both your threads are in the centre, you can just knot them together. So for your fifth row, you're going to take two threads on the outside, but you're going to take the one next to the outside thread and you're going to knot away from the centre. And then you're going to knot towards the centre for your next. and then you're going to knot towards the centre for the rest of the row. And then you want to do the same thing at the other side. So take your outside 2 threads and take the one on the inside and work away from the centre both times. And then you want to knot towards the centre for the rest of your row. And for your next row, you're going to be doing the final row in your sequence to create your full diamond. And for this one, you're just knotting towards the centre for every knot. So you're just doing this the same way as you do a normal chevron pattern. And you want to repeat the same thing at the other side. And then in the centre, as normal, just knot your threads together. So once you've done those rows, you'll have completed the first diamond in your pattern, and you're basically just going to keep working this way all the way down until you've got the bracelet as long as you want it. So you're just going to start from row 1 and just keep repeating those until you get it to the right length. And once you finish, you should end up with something that looks like this. So I've done 2 braided tie-on ends at one end because I've started with a loop, but if you did start just with a flat edge, you could do 1 braided tie-on end there and 1 there. So now you just want to try on your bracelet. And that is your completed diamond pattern friendship bracelet.